guys, welcome to part 4 of ranking my 400 game collection. If you guys are watching the full episode, thank you guys so much for staying along this long and watching the whole thing. I really appreciate the support. If you guys haven't seen the other 3 episodes, you don't necessarily have to check them out. It's not like you're going to be confused or anything, because it's just it's sort of the same video, sort of. But if you want to go ahead and check out parts 1 through 3, they are already up on my channel, and they should be easy to find because I uploaded them all at the same time. But if not, I'll go ahead and link them down in the description as well. Hopefully I don't forget. Alrighty guys, so we are starting off on row 61, and as you can see, it is just rows of 5 games. And all we're doing is we're going through each row until we get to the very last row and picking out the best game from each row on my list, therefore ranking all 400 games. Alright guys, so the row 61, the first row of this video is going to be She Sees Red, Silence, The Sims 4, Skatebird, and Slay the Spire. Alright guys, so I'm going to have to pick She Sees Red as the winner for this row. It is another interactive movie, and we've had a few so far, and I know a lot of you guys don't like interactive movies, but I really do, and this is no exception. This is a really good interactive movie. You're basically playing as a detective that vows to put the murderer of a person in a nightclub that got murdered overnight behind bars. So the entire script of the movie is you're trying to do all this detective work and put the murderer behind bars and get the right person. And yeah, so you're basically just going through an interactive movie of a detective who's solving a crime scene. This is a pretty simple game to describe, but it's a really good game. Alright guys, going into the next row, we have Slender, The Arrival, Slime Rancher, Sniper Elite 4, Sniper Elite Volume 2 Remastered, and South Park The Fractured But Whole. And I'm going to have to go with Sniper Elite Volume 2 Remastered as the winner for this row. Basically, you are playing as a stealth sniper in the Battle of Berlin in 1945. All of the Sniper Elite games are really fun sniping games. Sniper Elite 4 is really good as well, but I'm just going to have to go with Sniper Elite Volume 2 Remastered. It's just slightly better than Sniper Elite 4. Yeah guys, it's basically just a stealth sniper game set in 1945, and it's a really fun sniping game. Yeah guys, go ahead and check out Sniper Elite Volume 2. Alright guys, going into the next row, we have South Park The Stick of Truth, Space Jam, A New Legacy, the game, Space Lords, Split Second, and Split Gate. Alright guys, so for the winner of this episode, we're going to have to go with Split Second. Split Second is a arcade racing game published by Disney Studios, actually. A lot of people don't know that Disney made a racing arcade game, but they did, and it was released in 2010, so it is a relatively older game. You guys might not enjoy it that much today. But it is still a relatively good game today because it is an arcade racing game. So the modernity of an arcade game doesn't really matter as much as a more realistic game would matter. So it definitely had a longer shelf life than most other games would. And it's still definitely really playable today. Okay guys, it was released in 2010, so you just gotta be really cautious of that when checking games out when they were actually released, but it is a really good arcade or racing game. Alright guys, going into the next row, we have SpongeBob, the Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and then we have SXX, Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Quadrants, and Storm Boy. Alright guys, so the winner for this row is going to be Star Wars Battlefront. It's just your stereotypical Star Wars game basically, but you're playing as one of the two armies during multiple different times in the Star Wars era. And so yeah guys, it's a very classic Star Wars game. That's all you can really say about it. It's like a Star Wars game, Star Wars themed. And yeah, you're just riding in one of the armies and Star Wars, and it goes through multiple different times. So there's a lot of different stuff to it, but it's just a classic Star Wars game, and I really, really enjoyed it. Alright, guys, going into the next row, we have Sunset Overdrive, Super Dungeon Bros, Super Lucky Tales, Super Mega Baseball, and Super Mega. The first one is Super Mega Baseball 2, and this one is Super Mega Baseball Part 1. So, throughout the episode, we've really seen in alphabetical order that the first one would go first, and then it would be the second one, but in this row, we have the second one first, and then the first one. But the winner is actually going to be Sunset Overdrive, which is a sort of animated arcade action game, much like Just Cause, the video game series Just Cause. It's basically, but it's a more animated version of it. And it's just a really fun, cartoonish action game. There's a bunch of different fun weapons and things to do. It takes place in a fictional metropolis called Sunset City. It was released in October 28th, 2014, so it is an older game. But since it is sort of arcade-ish and it has the animated sort of artwork, cartoonish artwork to it, the graphics have not really declined over the years because it wasn't really supposed to be realistic and it's just artwork. So it's still very, very playable today, and there are a few famous games from 2014, 2015, which was very good years for gaming. Alright guys, so Super Hot Mind Control Delete is going to be the winner for this row. It's basically a whole bunch of different red guys are coming at you on every single different level, trying to kill you, and if they hit you one time, you are dead. But the catch is, if you stop moving, time stops moving, and bullets will pause in air. So it's sort of like a puzzle game. You have to figure out how you're going to survive each level and get to the end of it, and you will use every single part of the map to your advantage. There are several parts in the map that will literally be your weapons, such as if you're in a kitchen, obviously you can grab a knife or a pan as your weapon. You're going to see that throughout every single level in this game, and it makes it very, very interesting. So it's basically a puzzle game, but also sort of an action game. It's just a really, really fun and really unique video game. I would kind of recommend trying it out. It's just a very good game, and it's a very interesting experience. Alrighty guys, going into the next row, we have Surgeon Simulator 2, Surviving Mars, Synchro Hedgehogs, Securita Meets Fries, and Tales from the Borderlands. Alright guys, so for the winner of this row, I'm going to have to pick Tales from the Borderlands, a Telltale Games series. We've seen Telltale Games come up a few different times throughout this entire four-part series, or the full episode if you're watching that. You've seen it come up a few different times. But Tales from the Borderlands is a really, really good Telltale Games. Alrighty guys, so it's basically like Minecraft story mode. You're basically playing the created story mode of the Borderlands game, the infamous Borderlands game. And I didn't actually play Borderlands all the way through, and I still really enjoyed Tales from the Borderlands, and I believe you'll be the same. You don't necessarily have to play Borderlands at all in order to enjoy Tales from the Borderlands. It's a good game by itself, but it's going to be a really great game if you enjoyed the original Borderlands game. It's definitely probably something you should check out if you enjoy the original Borderlands game. This is just the story mode of it, much like Minecraft story mode, and it's by the exact same company, Telltale Games. Alrighty guys, going into the next row, we have Tell Me Why, Telling Lies, Tempo the Bad A Elephant, Tennis World Tour, and Thief of Thieves. Alright guys, so I'm going to have to go with Tell Me Why. So Tell Me Why is much like Life is Strange, but without the magic to it. So it's basically just an episodic adventure game where you're sort of like, so basically you're part of a set of twins that have the power to communicate with each other using telepathy. And so it literally is quite a lot like Life is Strange, actually, because there is sort of like that power to it, and it's an episodic adventure game where you're going on really beautiful adventures with either, you know, close friends in Life is Strange cases, or your twin in Tell Me Why. So this is a really beautiful episodic adventure game, and yeah, guys, if you enjoyed Life is Strange, you're going to enjoy Tell Me Why. Alright, guys, going into the next row, we have Thimbleweed Park, This War of Mine, The Little Ones, Through the Woods, Titanfall 2, and Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Alright, guys, so I'm going to have to pick Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the winner of this row. Basically, you're taking down this like really bad technology company, and it is part of like, it's not necessarily a sequel, but it's in the same sort of category as what released previously, which is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Obviously, it has the same name of that Ghost Recon, but this one is Breakpoint, the one that came after Wildlands, and it was a flop at the start. Really heavily criticized game, hated by most of the players. But now looking back on it, I think it was a pretty good game. Comparatively, it is a open world game, and I just believe that it was. It's really good, actually. I think it was really well done, and I really enjoyed it, and it is the winner of this row. Going into the next row, we have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, and Totally Reliable Delivery Service. Alright, guys, so you might be expecting, since I picked Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the last row, that I'm going to be picking Ghost Recon Wildlands for this row. And while that does come in second, and while it is definitely a very, very, very good game that you should check out, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is my favorite game of all time, and it is going to be the winner of this row. So yeah, guys, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is basically a stealth first-person shooter where teams of 5 will go head-to-head. 5 people are basically trying to defend an objective, and 5 people are trying to attack that objective. And it is very stealthy, very team-based. You have to be very careful. It's a lot like Search and Destroy in Call of Duty, except for much more slower paced. Yeah, I guess it's just a very fun game in my opinion. And they're also adding Team Deathmatch in a couple of months, so that's going to be really, really fun. There's a whole bunch of different operators that have special abilities that you can use, and a whole bunch of different guns that you can choose from that all make it really, really interesting. And you never know what to expect in Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, what approach your enemy is going to take, and what approach you're going to have to take to win. But you're going to have to figure it out for your team, and it just makes it a really exciting first-person stealth shooter. Alrighty, guys, going into the next row, we have Trackmania Turbo, Tracks, the Train Set Game, Treasure Hunter Simulator, Trials Fusion, and Trials Rising. Alright, guys, so I'm going to premise this by saying that I have never played Treasure Hunt Simulator, so I can't really give an opinion on that. But I'm going to have to say, out of the other 4, my favorite is going to be Trials Fusion. I think the Trials games are really fun, sort of arcade games. It's sort of like one of those games that you would play like on a MacBook or on a laptop at school, you know, or something like that. Arcade motorcycle game, or it's a course-based motorcycle game, so you have to figure out how you get out or how you finish these very exotic, dangerous courses on your motorcycle, and it's just a very fun challenge and puzzle trying to figure that out. But it's also very exciting with all the motorcycles and everything else. Alright, guys. Hey, guys, it's just a really good game. Guys, going into the next row, we have the turning test, 12 minutes, UFC 4, Under the Jolly Roger, and Uno. Alright, guys, so I'm going to be taking Uno out of the competition because it's a classic card game. And so this is just the digital adaptation of the original card game. Everyone knows about Uno. I mean, if you want Uno for your Xbox, go ahead and install it. You already know what Uno is, so I'm taking it out. So with that being said, out of the other four, I'm going to have to pick UFC 4 as the winner. It's a pretty good cage fighting video game. If you guys know what the UFC is, most people do. But you're basically just like a cage fighter, sort of cage wrestling game. And there is a sort of career mode in it, which is pretty fun. There's a few other different modes which are also really fun. It's just a realistic cage fighting video game. You have to figure out how to defeat your opponent, which is sort of puzzling, and you also sort of never know to expect what your opponent's going to do and what you have to do to counter your opponent, so it's always going to be different, which makes it really exciting. Going into the next row, we have Unravel, Unravel 2, Untitled Goose Game, On to the End, and The Val. For my winner, I'm going to have to go with Unravel, the original Unravel Part 1, and it's basically a very beautiful game where you are basically playing as a piece of yarn with like your brother, and it's just a side-scrolling game that you guys use each other to help complete all these sort of obstacles in your way across your journey. But guys, just the map design of Unravel is really, really beautiful, so that's what really puts it over the other three. Because obviously Unravel and Unravel 2 are so basically the exact same game, it's just a continuation of the first one. But yeah, guys, Unravel Part 1 is going to be the winner for that row. Alright, guys, going into the next row, we have Vigor, Virginia, Visage, Viva Pinata, and Walden. Alrighty, guys, so for the winner, I'm going to have to pick Visage. It is a psychological puzzle horror game, so you kind of figure out how to get to the next level, try to figure out what you need to do in order to advance in the game, but at the exact same time it is a psychological horror game, and it's definitely very scary. It's definitely going to keep you on edge throughout the entire game. It was a very well done horror game, very well designed. The graphics are pretty nice. The house, it's set in a house, it looks really decent. The characters all look sort of decent when you come across the characters. Of course, most of the time you're just exploring a house by yourself, and a whole bunch of creepy stuff is happening. But it is a paranormal, psychological horror game, and it's definitely worth checking out. And it is free on Game Pass, I believe, still. So if you have Game Pass, you should definitely be installing it. Yeah, guys. Going into the next row, we have The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, The Walking Dead Season 2, The Walking Dead Season 1, Warface, and Warface Breakout. Alright, guys, so basically we have two different games here because we have two different Warface games and three different Walking Dead Telltale games. All of those games are Telltale series. And so I'm going to have to pick the first one, The Walking Dead, the Telltale game series, Season 1. And it's a very good game mode. I believe that PewDiePie played through it, as well as several other large YouTubers. It was a very beautifully done, very emotional story game. It'll definitely pull at your heart a little bit, sort of game. loosely based on the actual Walking Dead. It is a zombie game, of course, because Walking Dead is a zombie TV series. But it is a very beautiful story in itself. You definitely do not have to be a Walking Dead fan to enjoy the Walking Dead video game. I've never watched a Walking Dead episode, so I couldn't tell you uh, who if the characters are actually based on characters in the TV series or not. I have no clue whatsoever. Because I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead, but I can tell you that The Walking Dead is very emotional, very well done, very good character development, good graphics, good gameplay, every single thing you need in a video game. Of course, it is a Telltale game series. So if you guys don't like that whole interactive video game sort of thing, the whole Telltale sort of thing, you're obviously not going to like it, but I absolutely loved it. Alright guys, going into the next row, we have a Wasteland Remastered, Watch Dogs 2, Watch Dogs Legion, West of Dead, and What Remains of Edith Finch. Alright guys, so all the game nuts are probably wanting me to say What Remains of Edith Finch because Watch Dogs 2 was a very controversial game, but I'm going to have to go with that game as the winner. It is set in the San Francisco Bay Area, and basically you're using technology to go on all these sort of missions, taking down people using technology, hacking their phone to figure out more stuff about them. And I guess it's very much a technology and hacking based game. You're using technology for everything, going on these sort of different fun adventures, but at the same time, there are guns in it, so it is a action shooting game as long as the sort of like hacking element to it. It is open world, which is really fun. It's just an open world in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's somewhat realistic, but it's hyper technological, so there's hyper technology with like hacking cameras, hacking cell phones, stuff like that. But it is the winner of that row. Alrighty guys, going into the next row, we have When the Past Was Around, Who's Your Daddy, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, The Wolf Among Us, and Wolfenstein Youngblood. Alrighty guys, so this one is actually going to shock you guys, but I'm going to have to pick The Wolf Among Us. I know The Witcher 3 and Wolfenstein are much larger games, much more popular games, but The Wolfenstein Among Us was simply the better game in my opinion. It is once again a Telltale game series game, and basically you're playing as a werewolf detective, and there's just a whole bunch of different characters, really nice character development, a really, really good plot. It's very, very fun gameplay, trying to figure everything out, because once again, you're a detective, you have to sort of figure things out, and it's just really fun to play through. I really, really enjoyed it. I believe I played it twice. I know I beat the game once, but I really do believe I played part of it twice. I'm not sure if I beat the whole thing twice, though. But I've played very, very few games twice, so that really does tell you something. The Wolf Among Us is a really, really good detective game. In general, it's a really good Telltale game. It's probably my favorite Telltale game. And yeah, guys, so moving into the next row, we have World War Z, Worms, WMD, Wreckfest, Yakuza, Kawaii, and Yesterday Origins. Alrighty guys, so the winner for this row is going to be Wreckfest. It is a demolition derby racing game. If you guys are foreign and you don't know what a demolition derby is, because I'm not sure if demolition derbies take place outside of the US or not, but basically you are going head to head, trying to crash into your opponents and destroy your opponent's cars, basically, is the main thing of a demolition derby. And it's also a sort of racing game to where you can race your opponents. There's a few different things you can do in the game. It's just a very fun racing game in general. I think the online probably has died off by now. I haven't played it in a really long time, to be honest with you guys. So I'm not really sure how how the online servers are actually doing nowadays. But I'm pretty sure it's dead. So just be wary of that. Alright, guys, going into the last row of our 400 games. If you guys have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Alright, so we are heading into the very last row, and if you have made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. Yeah, guys, it's just really amazing to have you guys here, and thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a really long episode, so if anyone watched it, I'm really, really appreciative of that. Alright, guys, going into the very last row, we have Ukulele, and the Impossible Liar, Your Toy, Zoo Tycoon Ultimate, and Zuma. Alright, guys, so I have to go with Zuma. It's just a classic arcade sort of puzzle game to where you connect like balls together and you don't want it to fill up the screen. It's sort of like Tetris, a little bit, not really. But yeah, it's sort of like Tetris. It's a puzzle game like that. Just a very classic arcade game. And to be honest, I'm just not a big fan of the other 4 games in this row. It's not a very good row at all, unfortunately, for the last row. But yeah, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching until the end. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.